Everyone. So today we're gonna focus a lot on building something as we go. So the focus today is let me share my screen. Awesome. So focus today is we're gonna talk about something quite interesting, which is quite new. It's called MCP, Model Context Protocol, which is basically how you get your LLM to connect to the general internet, like, and other kinds of tools. So one of the main use cases that we've seen in the past, like 1 year ago, if you asked ChatGPT to go and do something like that's out there in the current world, like ask about some news about that happened quite recently, it was not able to do this. So then um, now if you use ChatGPT, you can see that these models can answer questions which are more recent, do calculations, and do quite a bit more. So the reason behind is that this thing called MCP, which is Model Context Protocol. So the idea here is like this was done in the past in different ways. So different, like especially with tool calling, where we had the ability to create this extension to existing models. So any kind of LLM tool where it can sort of execute certain instructions that is integrated to that LLM and get some results back. So that helps us to sort of go beyond what like just a question answering LLM. So the idea here is like to go into MCP, what it means and why it is needed, and also try to build like a very quick MCP based LLM tool to understand how powerful this is. So this probably will have to come again to touch upon this, but the MCP is quite powerful and it's the standard that's been used across. So this was put forward by Anthropic, the creator of Claude, as an open source project. So this is simply a protocol. So what it means is like it's a way to structure how we sort of interact with, how we sort of connect external tools and different services to an LLM. So it's nothing fancy about this per se, but given that is commonly used across the all the LLM creators, all the AI sort of tool creators, it's a really important sort of protocol to learn. So that's why we want to touch upon this, and it's going to come really handy. Yeah. So yeah, let's look into that. Like so today we're gonna like um, do the following. So we'll probably first look at like why AI tools need sort of external, like AI needs external tools, right? And sort of dig into the issues of glue code. So what it means by you sort of hard code sort of the available tools and like what it can do. So what are the issues with that? And then we go into like what MCP means, and I'll provide a really good resource for this, like which is put forward by Claude Anthropic itself, that we can sort of dig into. It has quite a lot of information, and then like the core concepts around client, server, different kinds of tools, transport, which is like the communication, how it happens, and then tool discovery, and how we sort of make calls. And then we'll sort of look at MCP in practice, right? The architecture and the workflows, how it looks like. And we want to like do a very quick demo and see like how we can use MCP to sort of extend our like abilities of our AI tool. And then we'll have a quick discussion and wrap up. So that's what we're going to do today. And when you have questions, feel free to add them in the chat so that we can sort of discuss as well. Yeah, so let's look at how AI and first ChatGPT came about, like what it looks like. So if you remember, like even now, right? Like I mean, if you ask some sort of a ChatGPT to do something, it might not do that. So I mean, I'll try to like quickly show what I mean by here. Um, Gonna try and get a uh, we'll show this. You see, I say, um, can you summarize this? And I give like a YouTube URL. Generally, it should be able to. Maybe it might test this time. Let's see. Okay. It sort of worked. I think so. In the past, if you look at this, the idea was it couldn't like do this. So what that means is like any kind of LLM tool that when we give sort of a external sort of a video or external sort of a resource and ask it to do something, it was not able to do that. So I think right now, if you look at GPT-5 kind of based tools, it is not the best example right now. Let me see if it works with something like code. So think I've enabled like search on Claude. So if I like this up, so this is the like Anthropic Claude. So if you ask it to like summarize this, the same URL, it says like, okay, I can't do this, etc. So you come into all kinds of issues because it doesn't have the features that are needed to like extract the transcript and then summarize that. So this is like a vanilla LLM, like what doesn't have any kind of MCP source connected to it. But having said that, you can connect quite a few sort of like can connect other kinds of connectors. I mean, I have to go pro to show that. But the idea here is that you can give a lot more features using like MCP servers. So yeah, so I think that's what I want to quickly show what it looks like right now. So if you in the past, if you look at it, like there's the certain data cutoff because of that, it couldn't answer questions beyond that data point. So you don't have sort of real-time access to APIs, you don't have access to real-time data. So if you when you ask something, it can't sort of do that. So because I've enabled in my ChatGPT to go and search the web, it could extract that. But generally, if you don't do that, it is unable to sort of do that. So that's the main reason behind sort of looking into sort of connecting sort of tools, right? So then came the evolution of AI tools where you had the tool calling mechanism. What that means is that you give instructions to the LLM prompt directly, say, okay, you have these X, Y, and Z tools available. You can make this API call. You can read from this database, things like that, and how to do that. So you'll get response back and you sort of decode that within your Python code and you sort of execute that and get the result. So this is a lot of hard-coded glue code what I'm so this is how you normally do that. So you sort of integrate that like with YouTube APIs, OpenAI APIs, you sort of create these extension to the LLM tool that you will. But the issue with that is it's relatively brittle. It's very hard to reuse. So if you want to add a new feature, you need to get a developer very quickly, write something, test that. It's relatively hard. So and other thing is like if you are sort of using same tool in different applications, you have to rewrite that. There's no centralized sort of uh, mechanism or a way that these access to these tools can be extended very easily. So every connection that you write, you have to sort of extend that. So that's a lot of wasted developer time. So that's the old way. I mean, we still do this because sometimes you need to have consistent like a repeatable way that you can do certain calls. MCP is great, but at the same time it introduces a bit of probabilistic nature. Because of that it may have some issues, but that's like a very minor issue. I think like the idea is that in the past generally we build code, integrate tools in a much more restricted and like a hard coded way. It's because of that it doesn't sort of can't fully utilize the power of LLMs, the probabilistic agentic nature. So that's the past situation, right? So so need to move this slide to here. Sorry. Um, so then sort of came the MCP, right? Model Context Protocol, which is, as I said earlier, which is invention like from Anthropic. Those guys were the first to put this forward. It's just a specification on how we can sort of connect different external tools to LLM-based tools. So if you look at this example, this is like on a high level how it may look like. So on the left-hand side, you may have these LLM tools, whether it's a Claude solution based like chat interface like Claude or any kind of IDE like if you directly work through, let's say, VS Code or Cursor, you can sort of connect MCP servers to that, so you can access different sort of MCP servers. Like the best example I can give is like Supabase. So Supabase has an MCP server. From Cursor itself, it can sort of call your Supabase, read data, write data, and create sort of tables. So you have this kind of power within VS Code. So because they use this MCP sort of standard, um, Supabase now can be easily integrated to any kind of a tool, so that like any tool provider, any like a AI tool creator knows how to access the Supabase sort of the APIs via MCP. So that's the beauty of having MCP, sort of exposes yourself to all these tools, and you can sort of get more use on top of that. So general way to think about it is like um this MCP is like USB-C for AI. So what that means is like, so it's a connector that sort of connects any kind of a LLM tool to another service, whether it's like reading data from a specific file, doing something on a database, or like calling an API. So it's just a connector that actually sort of streamlines this connection, and because of that, your app or your service that you provide can be easily accessed by any kind of AI tool. So yeah, so that's the fundamental idea behind MCP. So it's a sort of a schema or a structure that you need to follow. And there are some like key features, right? So it uses JSON-RPC protocol. So it's a way of sort of communicating between different services. You sort of call that endpoint and get some results back. So that's a contract that you create, like, so JSON-RPC protocol. So we sort of look at that in the next slide. And then like tools generally are described like with a schema, so that the LLM sort of understands, okay, these are the available tools, and then so we can sort of make this calls the MCP server. Generally written in a way it's modular, reusable. So general like normal software engineering principles. So because of that, you don't have to rewrite certain aspects of the code, so it's very easy to extend. So that's the value of sort of MCP. So the next thing I want to touch upon is like the way that MCP communicates, right? Like MCP servers communicate. So it's generally is done by a protocol called JSON-RPC. It's sort of a standard way that clients and servers communicate. Like if you take any kind of a web-based application, it can sort of use JSON-RPC. So general idea is that you ask like request would be like, please run 2x with these inputs. So you send that to the service, and do on the other side, they'll do the calculation, get the right information, and get some results back, whether it's like a summary of something, it's sort of an image, whatever it is, like you'll get something back. And then you'll have the format in JSON format, and you can sort of use that within your LLM application. So that's the whole idea behind the JSON-RPC. So you could standardize this, and whenever you sort of register these tools within the MCP server, your LLM would understand how to sort of use this. Some of these might seem a bit complex, but when you start building, it becomes really simple. So I think like in the demo, we should be able to see how this exactly works. Um, yeah. So I think I think might be a good example would be yeah, let me see if there's a, I think I saw really good um architecture here. So not sure if I can, yeah, so if you look at this, right? So the idea here is that you will have these different kinds of MCP clients, like whatever the tool that you're using, right? So it can sort of connect to different kinds of existing services. It could be something like Sentry, could be like a file system or a database. But your sort of application can maintain these connections to these servers, and your LLM sort of like the application or the hosting, this in our case, should have different clients to have connections, and the application itself figure out which client to sort of communicate with, and that client will get that information from the server side. So that's the idea behind, like, on a high level, how this communication happens. And you write it in a way so you register, okay, the MCP client knows which service and how to call that service using JSON-RPC, and you can sort of use that within your application. So that's how generally we create sort of MCP servers and the client connection. So this is quite important, and I think we will try to sort of look into this within the the demo itself. Like, that should be quite easy to understand. Um, and this is the sort of the article that I'll probably share that in the chat, and I'll probably add this in the slide there, so much easier. So I think this is written by Anthropic. So yeah, I think like general, like the MCP like flow is like, if you use MCP, you first initialize. So in that way, the client, like on your sort of AI product side, like whatever the tool that you're using, whether it's like a web application, whether it's like some sort of AI based tool, it first connect to the MCP server. So like it's a service that is running, and your client sort of connects with that, and then your LLM will do like a tool discovery phase. Like, I mean, it could be automatic, or you can sort of manually triggers that. And so when you do that, like server sort of advertise like, these are the available services that I have, and you can sort of use that within the LLM. And then when you sort of interact with the AI tool, it will make these tool calls, and you get the results back. And you can have this extended, like more sophisticated AI tool within your LLM application. So I mean, best example, as I said, is like Supabase connection, like on Cursor side. So I can now don't have to go to Supabase. I can directly chat with Cursor to create tables, breed tables, etc. So it's quite powerful in that regard. Yeah. So what I want to do next is like go into building this demo. And so the idea is to create this LLM-based tool that sort of summarizes YouTube. The first example we saw, right? That when you go to Claude, it couldn't sort of do this summarization of a given YouTube video because it doesn't have access to reading, extracting summaries, reading that, because it doesn't have that feature ready. So what I'm going to try and do is like, can we build something with MCP server where we can sort of give a YouTube video and get a summary of it. I mean, first extract the transcript and then summarize it with AI and then save the result. So that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, it could go wrong, definitely, but let's see. So I have a working demo, but like I also like do certain changes and see sort of how it sort of would work. Yeah. Before I go to the demo, just want to check if there are any specific questions. Like feel free to add them in the chat. I don't see any. I don't see any in the chat. So yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll probably move into the to the demo. Let's see. So I'll first show how it looks like. So for ease of use, I've sort of used Streamlit, which is quite easy to do. So it's generally like a chat interface. So what it does is like, if you give some sort of a YouTube video, like a URL in some form, it should be able to, as long as it's not too long, it should be able to like read that and summarize that. So let me try to find something that is, so yeah. With Chip. So I'm going to use this video. So this is, there's an ad going on, but and I in Google Drive. So it's the I'll let it run through just to see what the video is. It's supposed to be with interview with Mark. But yeah, so I mean, let's just copy this. I think it's fine if there are ads. So the idea here is like, could you summarize this video? I mean, I can write it anyway. Generally, it should be able to make sense. Let's see, as you can see, like I've already connected the available tools. I get YouTube transcript, summarize text, and save to file as well. And yeah, I think it was successfully managed to like sort of extract that. And it says, okay, it's an interview between Mark Zuckerberg on various topics, including his children's development. So it very quickly did that. And if you go here, we should be able to see the same like summary stored here. So this is what it can do. Like before, if we went to Claude and ask, say, could you summarize this generally? If we have, yeah, so it can't sort of access this in by definition because it doesn't have the access. It's weird though. Like I've also enabled web search, so but that's the reality. It's unable to sort of read this. So that's a really good way to figure out the limitations of like existing LLM tools, right? So now it can sort of do this. So and like we can clear our chat and like can try again uh, with let's say with a different YouTube video. Let me figure out. Need to find like a relatively small one. Um, okay, it's summarize this. Something called Let's see the why risk takers win. Yeah, it's some sort of video. Um, oh yeah, so I might need to, yes, I had to reset it. But anyways, so it manages to get that sort of get the summary of it, and you can easily do that. So let's dig into like how this works, right? So that's the interesting part. So in this one, so as I said, like there's a Streamlit thing. The one that you're running now is this one. So it has like obviously automatically load the API keys, and then so you also initiate the MCP server. Um, so MCP server, it's basically connected to server that we created locally. So we have two parts, right? We have the the MCP host, which is in our case it's the app itself, the Streamlit app itself, where we see this part. But then you have the client piece. So I'll probably go into the architecture we looked at, right? So in this case, so we have the MCP host, which is in our case is a Streamlit app, and then you have the MCP clients that sort of. So in our case, we would have only one, and the MCP client is the code that sort of connects. So it's within the Streamlit app itself, but it is a part that sort of connects to the server. So if you come here, so this is the initiation of the MCP server. So it will sort of this code like, okay, we have the server path. So in our server, it's the YouTube server.py, which is like a local server that I've created for this specific thing. Generally, we should ideally be connected to external service that's running outside, but you can connect here in a same way. And then you sort of create this sort of open up the communication channel with the server so you can sort of send the information and get things back. And you first initialize like the JSON-RPC request sort of object, and then use that to create the connections, right? So this is like how do you so notifications and to figure out the available tools, etc. So you have this kind of information that we connect from while we are sort of from a MCP host point of view, we sort of connect, and then we can make those calls to the server and get the results back. So simply, it's a connection that we make with our client and to the service. So, and if you go to, let's say the YouTube server, which is sort of mimics sort of a server that helps us to like, sort of give certain things done. So that we have a list tools method, which basically sends back the available tools. So we have defined, okay, YouTube if YouTube transcript is available, we'll have like certain way to get the results back, and you'll have if OpenAI is available, like you should be able to like summarize the text. So based on that, and then third one is to save to file. So the first one is basically regarding transcription, so get your YouTube transcript. Second one is summarizing text, and the third one is basically saving the file. So there are like three operations that's happening here. So all this information which is happening on the server side, so we run the server separately, and that's sort of understand, give this information back to the client side, tell, okay, these services are available and you can access that. And then there's the other function, right? So which is to get instruction from the client side and to do certain action, which is in our case, we'll have, so first, so there are like few possible ways. So like first, if the YouTube transcript is not working, first it needs to install, which is fine. Like it will install pip install YouTube transcript API, which is free to use, and then OpenAI key to set it up if it is not there. But the most important thing is this thing. So generally what happens is like you get this sort of call tool method call, and it will have this instruction within that which tool to call. So you'll have the name and you have sort of arguments that is needed to execute that sort of tool call. And in this case, you get get your YouTube transcript, and then you call, you get the URL from the arguments, and then you sort of call that, get the video ID and from the extract video ID method, and then you use that to get the transcript. So you use the API, YouTube transcript API, and sort of get that and sort of then um, send the transcript back to the LLM to make the next call, which is summarizing the text. And based on how the LLM sort of decides, it will sort of make this call. So likewise, and then the next step is save to file. And so you have these different steps, but this is this is on the server side. So I mean, it can be a bit confusing here because we have the code on our side already. But if you look at something like the Supabase example I mentioned, if let's say if you want to talk to your calendar MCP server, which is available, I'm not sure to check if it's there. So if you want to do that, you can call to an external service and can get the work done. And yeah, I think that's like the overall way that it works, and we can sort of go into a bit more detail if you with the Supabase example, so that we can see how this actually works. So let's go to Supabase, which is part of the like we touched upon Supabase, which is like a database solution that we can build to create tables, etc. Let me see. Um, let's first see, go to files, settings. So you can either connect to GitHub as well, but I think what I want to figure out is let's see if I can ask it to show you this. Yeah, so you need to sort of get the first need to, yeah, I need to see, I create my week 9, gonna use, okay, account settings and API keys. The meantime, let's create another one. Okay, it's created. Okay, okay, so the project API key. So time with that. We'll have what in base. See. So I need to keep that, and then this dashboard and asset projects general reference ID. Need to figure out the reference ID here. Wait a sec. Okay, this is the one. So I bought this, and okay, so I'm gonna give this is the generally you shouldn't copy paste this stuff, but like since it's a demo and I won't be using this much, let's see how it can connect. So to start creating the Supabase client, so this is like directly connecting to our Supabase. Let's see, it should probably edit this as well. I had a typo. We'll create the MCP.json, it sort of instructs the cursor on how to access and what are the available sort of MCP servers. So it will have these like connection arguments, and at the same time the environment access dot, I think it has set this from directly. No, that's fine. So now it's sort of testing that it's working, and the connection is fine. So down is like create a table that saves our summaries from the Streamlit application. Keep a simple table. Okay. I think I probably need to connect before I call this. If I go to MCP, okay, it's already available. So before we didn't have Supabase available here. Now we can see Supabase is enabled because it's reading from this mcp.json. So if you add something new here, you'll have like another sort of MCP tool. And you can also see there are 20 tools available. So what it means is like you can execute these methods, like whether it's like search docs, list tables, and get logs, execute SQL, which is quite dangerous at the same time. But you can sort of use MCP Supabase features through cursor with these MCP connection. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I mean, this could totally go wrong, but I want to try and see if we can connect our Streamlit application's output directly to put information to Supabase. So what it first does is like create a migration. So right, so in SQL, like migration is basically, I mean, it has a couple of meanings, but generally what it means is like you create like a new schema that needs to get executed, whether it's for data transfer or like create a new table. So you need to like create a schema, and then and that has SQL, and it's going to get executed to create a table on Supabase side. So it created like a SQL command to run and create this table, but let's see, it's supposed to get created, but let's see if it is available on our databases. Not yet. Let's see. Is it created? So see, I don't see the tables on Supabase. Can check if it is available. So now it can sort of read and check if it is available as well. So it's checking that. Okay, it needs to get the public API key, which was my bad. I had to find the public API key. We were there before, just need to find the exact location. Go here. It's the API key. Now I need to go to settings. Yeah, this one. Gonna create the table before we do something with it. And that's fine. Let's try to sort of execute this directly. So we'll go to Supabase and go to SQL editor. So we sort of use this SQL command and run it. So it should now create this table. So ideally this should have worked when we sort of make the call, but I think because there are other things in the repo, it wasn't properly doing that. So that's fine. I think like but we should be able to connect, ideally create tables and read tables, etc. using MCP. And let's see if it might work. I'm not sure if this is saved though. Let's see. So it's not sort of storing. Let's see if it has some data. So yeah, I think like so there's a summary that I initially added, and the second one, that summary of the content. Okay, so that didn't go through it seems. So let me try a different YouTube video. Ah, I've not tried it. YouTube video actually. So there's a transcript summary. Says it's stored, but like yeah, we're not sure. Yeah, so now it has the transcript, the summary. So the idea ideally would have been like we should have created the table as well. So like I think if we had more time, we could have experimented and see. So and simply like because MCP, we should be able to execute these available if you go here. So you can add more MCP integrations here and sort of call them directly from this chat API, whether these like calling searching docs. So like one of the things that work right now is like making sure that we get the available tables, like list tables that was created. And we can ask like, can you um, pull all the data from the the table? But it says, but let's see, sometimes quite optimistic, even though it can't work. So yeah, so now it can pull these kind of like data directly from our Supabase. So I mean, these two were not like ideal, it didn't work. But if you can see the last entry we added, you can sort of now directly pull from Supabase directly to chat. So you can sort of add any number of MCPs. I mean, you can sort of give this power to your sort of tool. So that's why I want to just quickly show that we ran into some issues, but the idea here is that you can create these sophisticated AI tools with these MCP servers and like this cursor is like the MCP client, like the MCP host in this case, and it has this like MCP connections to the Supabase server, and you can sort of communicate with it. So that's the power of MCP. Okay, so now let's go back to our slides. So what we were looking at, let me see. Yeah, so I think like simply like you can sort of build like quite a few tools like this and sort of connect external tools and get more work done, right? So so let's look at like why MCP matters, right? Like I mean, like quite a few ways that you can do this because this is like a communication that you can have with like with any kind of a external service. So the best thing is like it's like one protocol, like it's being used like even though Anthropic provided this, like now OpenAI uses it, Google uses it, so everybody uses this. It's very similar to what OpenAI's contract, like when OpenAI first came, the way it interacts and creates the API calls is now the definition that used across the entire development world, right? So because of that, like that's the de facto method. So similar to this, like for MCPs, so the way that you can connect external services is the MCP standard. So definitely it's quite useful to understand this and then to use that. And because the same standard, so anybody that wants to connect to your tools, like let's say I want to connect MCP to another AI tool, it's the same way. So it's nothing complex. You sort of connect that, and because of the contract, you can get the available tools and the definitions, and your uh, like AI tool can make those calls very easily. So, so yeah, I think like um, MCP would be probably in the future as well the de facto for these kind of sort of communications. So yeah, I highly recommend sort of learning this in depth and try to build something with it, right? So I just wanna like wrap it up like about MCP today. So like key takeaways today are um, generally, like in this world, AI models definitely need external tools to be useful, whether it's an API call, whether it's like some sort of like a like a service or even like some sort of a library that needs to sort of execute something and give something back. So because of that, quite important to have these kind of like external service connections. And in the past, what we did was like this glue code, and you write certain like hard-coded ways that your LLM can connect, but that doesn't scale well and it's very hard. Like you have to like rewrite things to different tools. It's not the best to do it, right? So because of that, MCP was introduced by Anthropic, and it's a standard protocol, generally sort of creating the USB-C type connection for all the AI tools. So we looked at a demo today. It's like transcript to summarize. And the idea here is that you can sort of build things locally and like connect these external tools via MCP. And we also looked at Supabase as well, which is one of the other things we looked at, which is external service, and with that we can read and write from Supabase database. Yeah, and so I think we got a few minutes for questions, and for homeworks, ideally, would love to see you build sort of similar MCP tool, and then yeah, so would love to see um, how like you can sort of extend what we discussed today, um, and make sure that we you understand how MCP works, right? So give it a go, and would love to see what you guys build. And yeah, happy to take some questions around this. I mean, if you haven't worked before, it can be quite new, but relatively simple idea, and but quite important as well. Yeah. And yeah, happy to take some questions. Otherwise, yeah. So MCP is but directly, it's like a um, way that you define um, that lets the AI, with this OpenAI, Claude, know what it can do, like external services. Like for example, in our case, like example, we called external tool called YouTube API, YouTube what is it, YouTube transcript service. So it's an API. If you send the video ID to send us the text back. So the LLM, when you ask it to like do this, it figured out, okay, I need to do this, but figure out, okay, I can't directly do that. Are there any sort of available tools? So then it looks at the MCP services that is connected, and one of them was that external service. So it's basically like a MCP consider it as sort of an instruction set to the LLM to, and also it has already made the connection for it, so that the LLM knows what sort of services are available, and it can sort of invoke those services and get results back. So it could be like external API, it could be like reading a file, like it could have some knowledge base as well if needed. Like so it is a set of like if you go back to this example, right, this chart we looked at, um, so the idea here is that, so you have this on the left hand side, you have the applications, the what we build with Streamlit. MCP is like this, sits in the middle, and it connects to the application, but also it connects to these external services, and the LLM figures out to go to the MCP, and it's just a schema definition, to be honest. And then it figures out, okay, I have these available services, and it then sort of make those calls and get results back. So it's a way that it's sort of a connector, I would say. So that plus how to do that, because of the protocol. Similar to like REST API, it's similar to that, where we let LLMs, like AI tools, know how to access other services. So it's a more structured way of doing that. If that makes sense, Bernard. Have you worked with MCP before? Could be.
No,
Yeah,
I
I think
think I
like
did.
yeah, yeah. So I think like if you try to build something like this from scratch, like maybe with Cursor, you'll sort of understand in depth like what it means. Like I mean, I would spend like 1 hour, 2 hours on this like next week to build something like MCP server, the client, and the host to understand what it means. It's like yeah, simple as that. Try and see if you can create a service or connect to external MCP server and get some information back. There's quite a lot of resources out there on how to do this. But yeah, like it's very nuanced compared to like very similar to tool calling, but it's a much more structured way of doing it. So that's how I explain MCP, I would say. Sorry, Bernard, I didn't hear you.
I think
Yeah, yeah,
MCP, yes.
yeah. So I think yeah, this is very popular. I think like a lot of resources out there. So you might have like come across this. Like the key things are like it has this schema set that defines like how to sort of connect with them, and also it's like the JSON-RPC protocol, like that sort of have this contract so that you can sort of call the server and get results back. So because of that, like the LLM knows like how to make the calls and sort of structure it in a way that is like logical. So that's the power of that. And yeah, I think um, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Learn from that, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. So definitely
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
might have come across that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
If we have
I
things
was
like
able.
this, app.list tools, app.call tools, so these are like
Yeah.
standard like wording. I mean, yeah. So this is how you sort of define MCP connections. But yeah, that's amazing. Like, do try it out and like yeah, let us know like how you go about. And yeah, I think Would love to see what you guys build with it. And yeah.